The other side of this conversation is that is absolutely wrong. It's false. You can't say if you give 1,000, God's going to give you 10,000. You can't say God's going to, if you sow. That metaphor is a farming metaphor, not a financial principle for you to get rich quick.
Ruslan.
Before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan, and this channel exists to encourage you to mastermind your business the master's way. May not be subscribed yet, so if you aren't, please hit that subscribe button. All right, now let's get into the video. Listen, I pray like it all depends on God, and I work like it all depends on me. And I rest when I'm supposed to. I get my 8 hours of sleep, I Sabbath. I don't understand what that is. Because if I pray, God, help me to get out of debt. I then don't expect for me to magically get out of debt. I expect God to give me the passion, the wisdom, the vision, the direction, the tenacity to follow the debt snowball, to not spend frivolously. I don't expect God to get rid of the debt for me. So I don't know what the gospel of expectation of that is.
Crazy.
Right? That doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm praying, God, give me wisdom and inspiration to finish this book. I want to finish this book. I want it to impact people well. I don't expect God to magically sell the book for me. I don't
Start
expect
writing
God
in tongues.
Yeah, I don't expect to speak in tongues and then I go into a
trance.
The scriptures wasn't even written that way.
Yeah.
Like Paul and Peter were writing churches and responding, and in God's magnificence, he he used that and inspired that and created this beautiful tapestry of them writing to churches and then it becoming this amazing thing we call the scriptures today. So were they expecting and knowing that they were writing the Bible while they were writing it? I don't know about that. I don't know if they knew what they were a part of when they were doing it. I think they were just serving people.
That's crazy.
Right? I think they were in the moment serving people. So someone said, you reap what you sow. That is expectation. Here's the expectation with reaping and sowing. You don't control all the variables when you reap and you sow. First. Second, sowing does not mean giving. I'm going to sow a seed to this ministry, and then God's going to magically send manna from heaven.
It's a farming metaphor.
Yeah, it's literally a farming metaphor.
Yeah, a work metaphor.
So sowing, this is what sowing entails. Having land in a garden, having seed, having the tenacity to pull the weeds out, having the tenacity to work the land, to plow the land, sowing the seed, making sure that the foxes and the gophers aren't destroying your crops. And in that, ultimately, God has to make the sun shine. You need enough sunny days, but you also need enough rain. You can't control the weather. So the issue with the sowing metaphor is that it's not a one-to-one. It's not a one-to-one.
Yep.
You might sow and hit a drought. You didn't control that. You did the sowing, but you can't control the weather. So I think this idea that sowing and reaping in terms of sowing a seed and God's always going to give you 100-fold increase, that is the prosperity gospel. That's poison. That's the other side of this conversation. The other side of this conversation is that is absolutely wrong. It's false. You can't say if you give 1,000, God's going to give you 10,000. You can't say God's going to, if you sow, that metaphor is a farming metaphor, not a financial principle for you to get rich quick.
You know what I've also found too is that when I feel like I'm praying with expectation, or like, oh, I'm just praying for this thing too much, not too much, but like I'm praying for something very like they're saying, praying with expectation. I will pray for a door to be closed. I'm gonna work really hard on this thing, Lord, and if it's not in your will, close the door.
That's good.
Instead of being like, I'm gonna work really hard. Dear Lord, I'm praying. I know you want this. I feel it. Yes, let it be done. Let it be done on some Benny Hinn vibes.
Yep.
Just pray that God will take it away from you faster.
Yeah, it's good.
And then if he doesn't and it continues to grow, you're like, oh man, even in my prayers, I set my expectations really low. And then also if you pray that and he takes it away, you're like, oh, thank you for that. I didn't pursue that for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I got out of it faster.
Yeah. I mean, pray those prayers. Pray God will close doors.
Yeah.
Pray God will close doors. But I think this like expectation, it just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like a microwave Christianity where you literally think that like you can have a gourmet meal by just throwing it in the microwave for a few minutes. Like even with our meal preps, like someone cooked that first.
Yeah.
You know? And even though it was like, they would probably taste better if you put them on the pan. So I think it's like this microwave Christianity, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. Some of it I think is just flat out laziness.
Oh, 100%.
I think people don't want to develop the character, the character attributes, the disciplines of what it requires to become the type of person that could be trusted with more.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just throwing up Hail Mary prayers, hoping God just comes down like a mama bird from the sky, chews the food for you, and then puts it in your mouth.
It's also this like weird like refusal to believe that it might be in your best interest and you don't know it for certain things not to work out or not to happen.
Yeah, or to take longer.
Exactly. But it's also like it's that praying with expectation. It's thinking it needs to happen fast, thinking it needs to happen without doing the work, like you said, like being super lazy. And then it's like, oh, if it doesn't happen, it's the enemy. The enemy's stopping me.
Right. Right.
And it's like God could be answering your prayer and it's a no.
Yeah. So no, I don't have a doctrine around expectation. That's a very interesting question. I've never been asked that before. I've never even heard of a doctrine of expectation. I have a theology around prayer can do supernatural things, but oftentimes God wants to work in the orders and the processes he established, like sowing and reaping. Like God established our universe to work in a specific way. And I think instead of trying to do supernatural, it's like the person that has eaten like crap for decades, they're morbidly obese, they're diabetic, and they're praying God heals them.
Eesh.
God could very well heal you.
Yeah.
And you can very well get a random check from the mail. I've gotten those checks before, by the way. Like I got an unexpected check. But more than likely, you should have, first of all, prevented the damage you did to your body by not eating like a glutton. And two, now that you are diabetic, perhaps God wants you to change the way you eat and go outside, get some sunshine, touch some grass, go on a walk, and exercise. Drink more water. Maybe God doesn't want to zap it away. Maybe if God zaps away the diabetes, it'll just make you more fat. It'll cut more days off your life. Maybe, just maybe, God actually wants you to work through the natural order and the natural processes that you and I both have access to fix whatever situation that we are working through. That's the flip side to all this. So this whole idea of expectation, I don't know what that means. A meal is usually better when it takes more time to put together. And I feel like everything else in life has been that way. Everything in my life has been that way. And again, I've had those crazy moments where I've gotten the random checks in the mail and been like, whoa, that's crazy, right? I remember when I first started giving to my local church, I was not making a lot of money. I did not pray for this. I just did it. And what happened was, like a year prior, someone broke into my car. This is back in the day when I used to have like the 12-inch subs in the trunk.
Nice.
It rattled. Boom, boom. Someone broke in my car, stole my subs, stole my CD player. Wildest shot. I called the cops. They came, and they found fingerprints on the car. What are the odds? First of all, what are the odds the cops are even coming nowadays? Second of all, what are the odds they're actually running fingerprints?
Yeah, they're like dusting a 20 or 1990.
1988 Toyota Celica hatchback.
They're like, let's dust it.
They dusted, and they found fingerprints. Forgot about it. Didn't think about it. A year and a half later, 2 years later, I'm tithing, being faithful, 10%, my little 10%, whatever it was. It was a sacrifice at the time. I'm working at Pizza Hut. I get a check randomly in the mail for $800 out of nowhere, like within the first couple months of tithing. And it was restitution. They had caught the guy who broke into my car and made him pay it back into a fund, and then the county sent me a fund. I've had those situations happen before.
That's crazy.
I had those situations happen before. I wasn't praying for that. I wasn't expecting that. There's something in that, the timeline. I think maybe God showed me very early on, you need to tithe and give to me, even when you feel like you can't, even when you should not. Like maybe that was there to build my faith, but never that I tithe expecting to get a random check in the mail. Never. I tithe because I believed giving generously was the right thing to do. And then that happened. And my entire life, I've been fairly consistent in my giving ever since. Maybe fell off here or there, you know what I'm saying? But especially the last 15 years, 16 years I've been married, we've given pretty regularly. And so, but you don't tithe with that expectation. You tithe because to give is better to receive. Like giving is really better than receiving. Like it really is. And so
I didn't tithe for such a long time because I was like, oh man, I just think I'm going to tithe with bad intentions.
Unpack that for me.
That's like I don't want to go to the gym because if I get shredded, I'm going to become vain.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
It's so funny.
That's a fact.
And it's like in hindsight,
I'm
it's
scared,
like,
man. I don't know about going to the gym. Why? Because, I just...
I'm getting so
I might
shredded.
get, I might get so shredded, and like, women start talking to me.
I don't
all
know if
the
I have
time.
the restraint.
I don't know if I got the restraint. I start walking through the mall, and women just start grabbing me because I'm just like so shredded.
Oh, that's kind of what it was like. It was like,
funny.
and then when I had the conviction to actually start, I was just like, all right, let's just assume
Yeah.
that God will do more with what I can give than what I believe
Yeah.
might affect me negatively.
Yep. Thank you so much for watching that video. Guys, I believe that one of the best ways you can build a business is by first building a platform online. So Zach Sparazzo put together a free training for you on the #1 metric you can be looking for to explode your YouTube platform. Click the link in the pinned comment below so you can start that now. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.